Hey everyone, my name is Ben Grimico. I'm from InterNACHI. That's the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors. We're the world's largest organization of residential and commercial property inspectors. A lot of our home inspectors do ancillary services as well to diversify their services and diversify their business. And when the economy is a little shaky or the market is a little different and you're diversified, then you can survive and thrive. And one of the ways to do that is to be trained and certified in other revenue streams, other services. So we're talking today about one of them. It could be a good opportunity for you if you're interested in energy inspections, energy audits, being a rater, an energy auditor. And we have an expert trainer with us today on an InterNACHI webinar, Bob Spermo from Bullseye Building Consultants in San Antonio, Texas. How are you, Bob?
Hey, Ben, how you doing today? Very well, thanks.
Real good. Hey, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule and teach us a little bit about how to become a HERS Rater.
Okay, no problem. Let me know when you're ready.
We're ready. Except I want to remind everybody who's attending the live webinar, feel free to ask Bob questions. He's going to do a presentation, tell us what's going on, and then we'll take some questions at the end. So feel free to ask your questions during the presentation or at any time. All right, Bob, it's up to you.
Okay, that's me, Bullseye Building Consultants, Bob Spermo. A little bit of my background. I'm a Texas licensed home inspector since 1998, and you know I'm old because I got a Trek license number of 4726. I'm also a Texas licensed mechanical HVAC contractor. I got into RESNET in about 2008 and became a HERS Rater. In 2010, I became a HERS Rater trainer. I'm also what they call a quality assurance designee, which means I do quality control work for them. My company is a training provider, so I can train people to become RESNET HERS Raters. And it's also a rating provider. So after I train them, I can certify them, which is two different steps. For those of you that like the military, since Memorial Day is coming up, I got a little bit of a military background. I spent 32 years flying jet fighters. I was a fighter pilot for 32 years. If you want to know a little bit more, I flew the F-105 Thunder Chief, the F-4 Phantom, and the F-16 Viper, F-16. They call it the Fighting Falcon. We call it the Viper. So if you have questions on flying fighters at the end, let me know. Okay. Why did I become a HERS Rater? It's an additional income source, particularly if you're doing new construction phase inspections. It helps you out. I want to stay away from politics. I don't talk climate warming. I don't talk Green New Deals. But if you can get a more energy efficient house built for the same cost, why wouldn't you do it? And it's easy to do. I can build you a house that uses probably half the electricity, half the gas, at almost no cost, almost no more additional cost. I also like to educate and protect consumers. When I do energy audits for old houses, people will call me up and say, I've had insulation guys come out and they want to do this and foam my attic rafters. And I've had window people want to sell me new windows. And when I go out there and talk to these people, I can tell them the truth about how much money they're not going to save. So I like to educate the people. An educated consumer is also better for you as a home inspector too. So if you happen to be doing new construction phase inspections, which is how I started doing Energy Star and energy ratings, I was doing new construction inspections for builders and homeowners. And I got into energy ratings. Okay. Right now, the HERS rating, it's called a RESNET HERS rating, and it's an alternative to the energy code. A lot of times builders don't want to build to the energy code, and candidly, it's easier to get the HERS rating index, a specific number that's each jurisdiction comes up with, and it's easier to build to the rating than it is to the energy code. So that's why a lot of builders are going to the HERS rating now, as opposed to the energy code. Okay. Energy Star, you've heard of that. It's harder to get the energy code. It's harder to get than HERS ratings, but it's a marketing tool. A lot of builders like to market their house as Energy Star. Okay, so we can train you to do that. So we can get you to become a HERS Rater, also to do Energy Star. Okay, there's another thing called a 45L tax break. Builders get $2,000 a house if they can qualify under this HERS rating. So what you do is you do a HERS rating index, which will teach you how to do. You put it into a computer, and it tells you whether you qualify for the 45L tax break. And $2,000 to a building is a good deal because you're not going to charge them that much money to do the rating. Also, a lot of the building energy code requires a third party to do a blower door and duct leakage testing. As a HERS rater, I think every jurisdiction in the country certifies you as a third party. So you can go out and do blower door and duct leakage testing. How much you charge for all these things is really where you live. In San Antonio, it's not as expensive as New York City, so we can't charge as much for blower door and duct leakage. If you call me out to do a blower door and a duct leakage test, the minimum is going to be $350 or probably up to $600, depending on how many systems you have. To do a HERS rating and index, once again, the cost is going to vary. It could be anywhere from $550 to $1,500, and Energy Star the same way. So it's up to you, and it's up to where you're living, how much you're going to cost, how much you're going to charge for these things. The other thing you can do is res check. A lot of jurisdictions require some kind of energy modeling before they start building. Res check is a computer program given away free by the government. You just go fill in some data, you get some numbers, you give it to the code people. You go back in, you do an inspection, you do the blower door and the duct leakage testing, and the builder's happy, and energy code people and the code compliance people are happy. So all of this revolves around what? Becoming a HERS rater, because a HERS rater right now is the only recognized organization in the country. It's recognized by EPA, Energy Star, and most of the code jurisdictions. You never know, though, that may change in the future. Okay. So it's an additional income source for existing homes also. I get a lot of calls. Can you come do an energy audit for me? And a lot of times I'll do an energy audit, and the only tool I'm going to bring is a flashlight to go into the attic and things of that sort. I very seldom break out a blower door and a duct leakage equipment, because you can tell that the people, once you have a house, it's very hard to do a lot to save energy. But what you can do is educate the consumer so that they don't get cheated and lose a lot of money. Let me give you a couple examples. I had a guy call me to do an energy audit at his house. I walked out, I walked through it. I didn't see much wrong. I looked outside, he had a swimming pool. I asked him, how long are those pumps on in that pool? He said, I got two pumps and they're on 24 hours a day. Well, so I talked to a pool guy, I said they should be on 8 hours a day. So by doing simple math and checking the voltage and the amps, I could tell the guy if he put those pumps on 8 hours a day, he'd save about two-thirds of the money. So I asked him, he asked me how much did it cost, and I said, well, you're going to save $173 a month, so give me $173. And he was real happy, and he did it, and he saved some money. Okay? I was called out once to go down South Texas, had a big electric bill. I went through the house, I couldn't find much. I go out to the patio and the carport, it's 100 degrees out, and they got 3 of those old horizontal freezers full of deer meat. I said, well, there's your problem right there. And so you can do a lot of things like that. People also call me, window salesmen are trying to sell me new windows. Is that really going to help me out? And I can go and I can tell them and I can educate them. And a lot of times, I just did one for an active duty person the other day, and I gave them the audit free. So you can do that to educate. Okay? So I do a lot of homeowner education, just so they don't get cheated by unscrupulous subcontractors out there. Okay? Here's the big one. What's it going to cost you? When I did it, the equipment cost me about $4,000. Right now, you can't buy the blower door and the duct leakage equipment and the exhaust fan equipment for under about $6,500. So what I did was I went to a couple of local custom builders that build 2 or 3 or 4 houses a year. And I said, hey, I'd like to do energy ratings for you and possibly Energy Star and blower door and duct leakage. So I made deals with them after I was trained, but before I bought my equipment. I went out and bought my equipment, and within about 4 or 5 houses that I had done, I had all my equipment and my training paid for. So the best way to do it is make a deal before you go spend the money. I've been looking around for used equipment on the internet, and it's getting hard to find, which tells me that a lot of people are getting into it because of the bigger requirements, because of the energy code that's been adopted by most jurisdictions. So that's the problem. Okay? The training costs. This is where NACHI is going to help you out. The normal cost of my online training is $2,425. But anybody that's a NACHI member, I'm going to give them the training and the certification, which is very seldom heard of in the industry, for $1,525. And just so you know, $525 of that $1,525 goes to RESNET for the testing fees. So I don't get any of that. So I'm not only going to train you for that amount of money, I'm going to certify you, which are 2 distinct different categories. So $1,525. It's an online course. We'll talk about that in a minute. Okay. You have an ongoing cost to do it. That equipment is pretty substantial. It doesn't break down. It needs to be calibrated once every couple of years at maybe $150 or so. Okay. But you do have to join and sign up with a rating provider, which Bullseye is. Bullseye is going to charge you some amount of money a year for dues to pay for the software that I have to pay for. And you have to pay for each rating that you put in. For example, I have to pay $17 every time I put a rating into ResNet. So there's an ongoing cost. And it depends on how many ratings you do, but a lot of that you can pass on to your client. Basically, they won't even know it. Just put it in the cost of your rating or your blower door or whatever you're going to do. Okay. How I do training. I have a complete package. It means I'll train you and certify you. It's all going to be done online training course. It's self-paced. You can do whatever you want. It's online all the time. It's always available. Got 17 sections. Each section's got a part of my training manual. You can print it out and keep it, or you can just study it online. Each section's got a video where I appear, and I try to do some of the basics of that section. I don't read it word for word. Okay? And each section's got a quiz. In some of the sections, I have an additional video. It's done by the manufacturer. I use a RetroTech equipment. There's also Minneapolis Conservatory. I use RetroTech. They're both fine pieces of equipment, but they have additional equipment manufacturer training videos. I put those in there. For example, they show you how to use a blower door. They show you how to do duct leakage, things of that nature. So I also put in a 55-question practice final exam. I do not know all the ResNet questions, but my 55-question exam gets you pretty well prepared for it. So all the training is available right here. One of the problems with online training is you never get to, and I'm going to give you Energy Star training free. Some people charge extra for that, and I'm going to test you free. And oh, by the way, I don't know if anybody that's ever failed the Energy Star test. Okay, so I'm going to give it to you free. I'm going to monitor your test remotely. So everything's going to be done remotely. Okay. Also, because people on online course never show up, I'm going to give you a 1 hour, one-on-one live. It's called a CAD simulator training program. Okay. When you take one of your tests, it's a simulator exam on the combustion appliance zone. It's a very easy simulator exam. I'll give you training, and most of my students get a 100 on that exam. And that exam, it's a simulator. It's only going to take you maybe 20 minutes to take it. So I'm going to give you 1 hour training, just you and me on the internet. I'm going to give you a 2-hour training on what's called a practical simulator exam training, and we'll show you what that test is like. Okay? So I'm going to give you 3 hours, just me and you on a computer going through these simulators. So when you take the test, you'll be pretty knowledgeable on how to do it. Okay? I'm going to have office hours, Tuesday and Thursday from 2 to 4 my time for live questions, so you can get a hold of me. If you email me or phone me at a reasonable hour, I'll get back the same day. But if it's past my bedtime, I'll get through the next day. And my bedtime comes pretty early because I'm getting old. Okay. Online testing. I'm going to proctor all of them. You get 3 tests, all of them remotely proctored by me. One's a knowledge test. That's a 55-question test. It's a relatively tricky exam. They're trying to trick you, basically. I've got a pretty good pass rate on that. If you fail it, you got to wait a week to take the next one. So, but we don't want to fail it. So it's a 55-question test. And my book has all the knowledge you need. You just got to apply yourself to study it and listen to the videos. You're also going to take that combustion appliance zone simulator. It only takes about 30 minutes, and the training should get you through that very easily. The last one is a practical simulator. This is a long one. This takes about 3 hours to do. It's tedious. It's a simulator game, basically. It's like home inspecting of a house on the simulator. It's interesting. I've taught people that know very little about home inspecting and very little about energy, but they know how to play simulator games, and they really did well on that exam because they know how to move through a house using the keyboard and the mouse. So those are the 3 tests you have to take. So you take all the training, you take these 3 tests. It's not easy. Then you got to get certified. So you sign with me you sign with BBC. I'll be your rating provider. You're all trained up. You got all the tests passed, and you got to get 5 probationary ratings. This is how I do that. I'm going to send you some plans and some specs. I'm going to send you access to the computer program software, and you're going to enter that house into the computer software. I'll also have some training on my website, on my course, which I sit down and do when you can follow along when I do a rating in the computer software. So you do 1 projected rating from plans that I give you, do it at your computer at your house. Then go to a new construction site, pre-drywall, do an inspection for simple things like holes in the top plate, things of that nature. Take some pictures and send them to me. That's your second rating. And then you got to do 3 full ratings. And here's the problem. You got to have equipment to do 3 full ratings. So you're going to go to a house, you're going to do a blower door, a duct leakage, all the inspections, take all the pictures that are required, do exhaust fan training. So you're going to need equipment. I'm trying to work with one of the manufacturers right now to send equipment to people, have them use it and send it back, and working on the cost only being the shipping. I don't have that set up. So that's the biggest issues of the equipment, the whole thing. But if you can get a deal with a builder and they're going to let you do the ratings and buy the equipment, you ought to be able to pay for it in a short amount of time. That's the biggest holdup. Continuing cost. I charge $150 a year in dues because I have to pay the software people. I charge $35 for a rating that you put in. I give you the first 3 per year free. So that's about $105 for your dues gone. I have to do 10% of the ratings you do. I have to do what's called a file review on them, which means I have to sit down and do a projected rating. So it takes me about an hour and a half. I charge $75 for that. That's 10% of the ratings that you would do. I have to do a field review of 1% of the ratings you do. I'll do that remotely also for $150. Used to be I had to go to the site to do it, and that could be up to $600, $700, even $1,000 to come to one of those. So now we're doing them remotely. Okay? By the way, if you're just doing a blower door and duct leakage test, that's not a rating. You don't pay me anything except the dues. So if you're just doing that, there's no cost to you. Only when you're doing an official rating, when you need a HERS index, when you need Energy Star, when you need 45L, that requires a no kidding HERS rating. If you want to use HERS rating instead of the energy code, that requires a HERS rating, and all those require some money to me. And I got to pay people too. I have to pay RESNET, and I got to pay the computer company. So there's not a lot of cash in it. You want to contact me? Bullseye Building Consultants at gmail.com. You can call me, 210-385-1209. If you're interested in my course, you can get it there or there, either way. Okay? And this is a better one. If you're really interested in taking the course, give me a call. This is important, and I'll give you the discount code that I'll make up and give to you. So that'll get you the $2,425 business for $1,525, which is a pretty good deal. And look it up on the internet. You'll find. Remember, that's training and certification, not just a loan. So, in conclusion, I think there's some opportunities out there now. There are more and more. I think there's going to be a lot of money spent on energy in the next few years. You might as well get on board and see if you can save some of it. So, any questions, Ben? I guess I'm ready, unless you need some more.
Yeah, that is an amazing discount, Bob. Thank you for that. Nico asked, he did apply for Energy Star, but there's no program for me in his area. What do I do from there?
He wants to be Energy Star, what, a rater or what?
Sounds like, I'm not sure. Maybe Nico, you'll type that in. But he said, I did apply for Energy Star, but there's no program for me in my area. Yeah, and Nico says rater.
Okay. If you're not a rater, you have to be a HERS rater to do Energy Star at this time.
Yep,
okay.
And he is.
Okay, you are a HERS rater. Are you Energy Star certified?
Let's see what he says. It seems like he doesn't have a program in his area, though.
Okay, well, there's no area program. It's nationwide. So all you would have to do, Nico, is give me a call. And what I'll do is I'll give you access to the Energy Star training on my website. We'll give you the Energy Star test. Then you sign up with Energy Star as a partner. That's free. Okay? And you'll be an Energy Star rater. Now, the problem is to do an Energy Star rating, the builder has to be Energy Star certified, which is a half-hour training and no cost. And the HVAC contractor has to be Energy Star qualified to get an Energy Star house. And then you'll be able to rate the house Energy Star. So they're nationwide. It's just a question of whether your builders and HVAC guys are certified by Energy Star, EPA.
Bob, what about there's a question about the home energy score.
Okay.
And being an assessor. What do you think about that program?
Home energy score is run by DOE, I believe, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. It's not quite as comprehensive as the HERS index.
Not at all. Yeah.
Not at all. And it doesn't give you the benefit that the HERS index would give you, like the energy code or Energy Star or 45L. So it doesn't give you quite as much.
And the
I
other
haven't
big
done a
problem
lot on
is
that.
I don't see any demand for the home energy score.
No, see, Energy Star at least gives the builder a marketing tool.
Right.
And the HERS index lets them build a house to that criteria and not the energy code criteria. So that's the incentive.
Yep.
For the builder.
Yep. John asks, do I have to get on the roof and measure all sizes of the roof, square footage and stuff?
You have to get on the roof. I'm old, man. I don't get on the roof. No, this is how I get most of my measurements. When a builder wants me to do a HERS index or first thing I ask for are the plans. Give me the plans. So I sit down and I do all my projected rating, enter most of my data into my computer software right off of the plans. Okay? Then when I go out to a house, I look at the house, I do the outdoor measurements, just with a rolling wheel, and they're very close, and I don't go on the roof. Okay? I may go in the attic, but I home inspect, you're going to go in the attic, but I don't go on the roof. You don't
James asks.
You may need to know some math. You may need to know a little bit of math if you have tray ceilings or stuff like that, but that's about it.
James says, I already have my 608 universal EPA. Do I have to redo the test? I was under the impression that you need that to become HERS certified.
608. Is that the
608 universal?
Is that it sounds like refrigerant?
Yeah.
No. The answer would be no.
Yeah.
The qualifications to become a HERS rater, to go through the training and the certification, you need no prior background, you need no licenses, you need no EPA certification, you need nothing except RESNET training and certification.
Yep. And you do both. You do the training and the certification.
Yeah, a lot of people don't do both.
Right.
Mostly they do one or the other.
He asks, can we fly out to Texas to your place just to get the hands-on training?
Yeah, if you want to come to Texas, come on out. If you want to come in the summertime, make sure you're used to the heat, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get a house and do some training. Just let me know.
Nico says, he says again, they asked if I can get the utility company to sponsor me. And he's wondering about that.
A lot of utility companies do energy audits, and they do free energy audits. I've trained people to do energy audits, and candidly, it's not much of an audit. Utility companies are not really interested in new construction, I don't believe. They're interested in going to their customers and saying, well, if you caulk your window and do this and that, you're really going to save a lot of money. So I don't know of any utility company that's going to pay for training. The good way, if you're going to do blower door and duct leakage, the people that are interested might be HVAC contractors, because a lot of them go out there and put in new ducts and they can't test them. They don't have the test equipment, even though they need to be. So that's another place to make some opportunity, maybe.
In that simulator, are there different houses that you got to go through?
Yes.
Like with crawl spaces and basements?
Sometimes there's a slab, sometimes there's a basement, sometimes there's a crawl space. There's a 2-story house and there's a 1-story house. They're pretty tricky, and you got to spend a lot of time making sure you get the square footage and the cubic footage right, because that's going to be used for the slab, for the floors, for the ceiling, for the roof. So that's the key number you got to get right on those.
Yeah, I went through that. I went through that simulator. It's a little difficult to
and it's about to change in July.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's get a little harder.
Let's see. Can you rent the RetroTech or the Minneapolis?
Well, I don't. That'd be a great deal. I'm trying to work with a company, send some out. I don't know where you can rent it.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no local people, but if I can get the manufacturer to send you some, and you send it back at the cost of shipping, that'd be a good deal.
Yeah.
I don't have that done.
What about infrared? You need infrared to do a rating?
You do not. Matter of fact, because ratings are designed for new construction. And new construction, you're there for the insulation. You inspect the insulation. One of your inspections you do is before drywall, after insulation. So you're inspecting the insulation, you're inspecting the air barriers, you're inspecting the thermal boundary. So an IR camera wouldn't do you much good. Now, if you're going to do an energy audit for an existing home, IR camera is very helpful, because homeowners like to see the colors and the reds and the yellows and everything like that. And that'll tell you if the wall is, well insulated, not insulated. It won't tell you the numbers, but it'll tell you. So you can use an infrared camera for energy audits. And by the way, they've come down a lot. I remember they were $4,000. You can get them down for $200, $250 now.
Nico says he's got all the equipment. He's spending a lot of money. Now he's broke.
Okay. Where's he live?
And he's just trying to get going.
Where's he live?
Nico, where do you live? You can type it in there. James is asking, what's Bob's website? Well, if you're taking a look, there's a couple there. It's HERS Rater Training and Certification.com.
That's one.
And there's Bullseye HERS Rater .learnworlds.com.
That's where my course is. Yeah.
Yep. And Nico lives in Florida.
Lives in Florida. Ah, now you got you got a different issue. You got the Florida California mafia. The Florida and California are on kind of different agendas. California's got the California HERS Raters, and Florida's got something else too. But the best choice is to talk to some people in Florida. I'm not as familiar with Florida and California because they're a little different. But I'd still go talk to some builders that are building new, not the big time builders. Don't go to, people that are building 400 houses a year.
Yep.
Go find some custom buildings in your area that are building 2 or 3 or 4 houses a year and work with them.
That's a great idea.
That's a better way. You don't go with you can't compete with the big boys because they have big companies doing ratings at very small fees. You don't want to do that. So go to the smaller custom builders.
Yep. BPI. What about BPI?
Hey, I used to be BPI. I got no problem with BPI.
Yeah.
When it was first developed, RESNET was developed to do new construction,
yep.
and BPI was developed to do the retrofit and renovations. They almost got together years ago, but they didn't. Okay. So now RESNET is mostly in new construction still. They've tried to branch out in the renovation. BPI is still mostly in renovation and healthy homes. Okay. And what BPI can get you, if you do their building analyst, their envelope professional, and their I think it's I&D, that'll get you the same as RESNET training, and you'll be able to do blower door and duct leakage training. The problem is you can't do a HERS rating, you can't do a rating index, and you can't do Energy Star. So BPI can do a blower door and duct leakage testing if that's all you want to do.
Right.
But there's 3 courses you got to take to do that. Okay. So the cost may even be more for BPI now. That's a good organization. I have no problem with them.
Bob, I really appreciate it. I think the questions are done.
Okay.
And I think we've got a few people that are going to land on your website and give you a call for sure.
Oh, yeah, give me a call before you do anything else. I'm happy to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Bob. Thank you very much for the information.
I'll get back to you on another thing I'm doing.
Okay.
Right.
Keep me in the loop.
All right.
We'll do it again. All right. Stay healthy and safe, everybody. Later.